So when people ask me, what is for you the scariest movie? Like, what is the one movie that has scared you? And I know that's subjective for a lot of people. I understand that that is a very subjective question. And a lot of movies scare us. For a lot of people nowadays, they'd probably say like Insidious or the Conjuring movies. If you go back a little further, you'd probably say like, even some people now would say like the first Friday the 13th, or the first Halloween, or the first, Nightmare on Elm Street movie. But it's all subjective, really. And while I've said that, like, I remember doing a video talking about like how alien abduction movies creep me out and scare me just a little more than ghost movies, there is an exception to the rule. And for me personally, this is the movie that scares me the most. And why do I have it on Blu-ray? I'm like, why did I buy this? I'm never going to watch this in the dark. And that is The Haunting. Now, I'm not talking the Owen Wilson remake. I say the Owen Wilson remake because all I remember is his head getting fucking decapitated. Also, I think it had Liam Neeson and Selma Hayek, right? Yeah, they were in it. But the remake is dumb. The 2000s remake from I think it was Dark Castle that did it, could be wrong. But that movie is garbo. Even as a kid, I was watching it like, this is dumb. This is nightmare fuel. Like, this movie is fucking nightmare fuel. And after I bought it, I was looking at this Blu-ray for like a good solid minute going, what am I doing? This movie scares the shit out of me. I watched it, the first time I ever watched this movie was several years back on TCM, Turner Classic Movie. It was during Halloween, and I was like, oh, The Haunting, I've never seen the original film. So I decided, I was like, well, I've heard like really good things about this movie. And again, movies can be overhyped. We all know that. Movies can be totally 100% overhyped in any shape or form. But the fact of the matter is that I was like, all right, there's no way this movie can be... I'm sure this movie's going to be creepy and probably have a few good, like, some good atmosphere to it. And it does. I'll get into that in a bit. But there's no way this movie's going to scare me. It's a ghost movie. Ghost movies just don't scare me. I was so wrong. After this movie, I was just like, oh my god, I need a minute. Yeah. So for me, this is hands down the scariest movie I have ever seen. This is my personal horror movie. This is my personal fear. Well, not personal fear, I should say. Personally, the scariest movie I've ever seen. And again, I haven't seen every single movie known to mankind. I'm sure someone's going to be in the comments below going, "Oh, that movie's not so scary." Fear is subjective, to quote Scarecrow. To quote good old Jonathan Crane, fear is subjective, isn't it? So, subjectively, this movie scares the ever-loving piss out of me. For a multitude of reasons. Let's get into them. This movie's not for the faint of heart. I'm going to tell you that right now. This movie's not for the faint of heart. Also, here's some shit. The director of this movie did West Side Story. Think on that. Like, really, just like that, you need a minute after hearing that. I'm like, after I found that out, I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no fucking way. Anyway, so the cast, for those who don't know what the story is, let's actually back up. Let's actually talk about the story of this movie. The story of this film is basically a psychiatrist along with 3 other people are going to Hill House. Now, if that name sounds familiar, most of you would know it best from The Haunting of Hill House, the famous Mike Flanagan created Netflix series. That show is basically also based off the book this movie's based off of. So, yeah, it is based off of a book, but you could say The Haunting of Hill House is a remake of this, too. Is a TV show remake of that, too. So, Hill House is basically, it's been said to be haunted by several spirits, and it's caused several deaths in the house as well. And they're basically there to, like, these 4 people, the psychiatrist and these 3 other people are brought together to essentially, like, piece together if this house is haunted or not. And it kind of... Here's the thing, you don't see a ghost. You do not see a single ghost at all in this movie. And you may be thinking, well, how can that movie be scary if, if you don't see a single ghost? You see, it's the implication. It can't be scary because of the implication, you see. But no, one of the characters, one of the characters, she is already like kind of mentally out of it already, and she believes the house is calling to her, but she's also afraid of it. It's a really good feel of like, is the house really calling to her, or is it some kind of malevolent entity reaching out as well? It keeps you guessing the whole time. I will say the house, they do kind of say the house is haunted, but again, you don't see a single ghost. And the tension, the real horror of this movie is the tension. Oh my god, the tension. This movie, from start to finish, there is not a single fucking minute in this movie that makes you feel like loosened up. Every scene makes you feel this ungodly tension that just keeps building and building and building, and there are 2 solid jump scares in this movie. 3 if you're lucky. Like 3, actually, yeah, there is solid a third one, and it's a camera zoom in. That moment of the camera, there's some beautiful, great camera angles, and again, when a camera angle alone can scare you, you have done something amazing with your movie. You have done something, that will definitely, that says something about your movie. That's what I was trying to say. But no, this movie right here will wear you out emotionally. This, at least for me, like the tension alone in this, again, going back to the tension, is that the tension just keeps building and it doesn't let go until the end. And even at the end, you just feel this level of unease. You feel this level of horror, really, just absolute horror and dread. It's this, there's the biggest word, the dread of it all. Also, side note, one of the characters is played by... Sorry about that. As I was saying, fun fact, one of the characters is actually played by Russ Tamblyn, who most of you guys would know best for, West Side Story, and also, more importantly, most of you guys would know him best from War of the Gargantuas. I know my audience. So there's something cool with him. Russ Tamblyn, he is the heir to the Hill House, and he's basically allowed this experiment because he thinks it's just kind of funny. Like, he thinks the whole thing is just kind of one big, like, this is bullshit. I'm gonna get the house, and I'm gonna either live in it or sell it, I don't know. But for right now, let's just have some fucking laughs, okay? Okay. The rest of the cast is solid, and there's this level of people are trying their best to, like, come together and figure out this mystery and this is it a psychosis? Is it something else? You don't know. And they don't give you answers. That's another thing, is that this movie is it's atmospheric. It doesn't even bother trying to give you, like, is it really ghosts? Is it not? They kind of do, like, you can make the interpretation that it is haunted or not, especially with a few scenes. But there are some things that just make you, that it's amazing how you can scare people with this movie by doing nothing at all. And I know that sounds weird, but it's a solid, just absolutely solid film. In terms of, it's just a solid piece of filmmaking. Not just horror film, but filmmaking in general. I have never seen a movie that has done so much to a viewer with so little anything else. It's astonishing to me that this movie is capable of scaring the ever-lover shit out of me. And I had the lights on the first time. I had the lights on the first time around. Then I watched it not too long ago with the lights off. And it was worse. It was so much worse. Yeah. And again, I'm well aware that someone may come on here and be like, well, this movie's not so scary. That's fine. Horror is subjective. Like, everyone's scared of something. And there are, I'm sure, other movies that I haven't seen that will probably scare me even more than this one day. There's been movies I've been creeped out by, or just like Audition, where I'm so disgusted I don't ever want to see that movie again. Don't go watch Audition if you haven't already. If you have a weak stomach, don't. House is a movie that is so batshit bonkers that I don't think I need to watch it ever again. It's like if Evil Dead went to 11. I mean, I feel like it's one of those movies you watch once, appreciate it, and never need to watch again. Does that make any sense? And, yeah, this is a movie that I'm like, why did I get this? I'm gonna be scared every time I watch this fucking movie, and I know what happens. But maybe that's kind of the point, really, when you think about it. Maybe that's the trick, right? Maybe you owning it maybe means, like, owning the movie that's the thing that scares you proves that maybe you can move past it. You know? So, I'm going to leave it off with you guys. What is the scariest movie for you? Like, what's the one... Don't pick multiple. Pick one. I picked my one. You got it. We'll make this interesting. So, yeah. What is the scariest movie for you that you've ever seen? And do you own it in your movie collection or not? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.